ماشي الحال؟ Okay.
ماشي الحال.
Yeah. Hello, Lilian.
Hi.
First time we meet ever.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We've barely spoken even before, so.
حتى we've only had like a couple of Twitter exchanges and that was it.
Yep. خفيف
So yeah, tell us about yourself a bit.
A little bit, okay. Lilian, I'm from Lebanon. عايشة بدبي صار لي 7 سنين. قبلها عشت شوي بدبلن. Basically my job took me there. وقبلها كنت كل حياتي بلبنان. يعني I spent over 30 years بلبنان. So you can do the math for my age. It's very obvious. And I'm a computer science postgrad. I ended up I worked in programming for many years, and then I somehow switched to marketing, to digital marketing, and then now I am doing product marketing. I can tell you what product marketing maybe at one point in the call.
Yes.
What that means, because it's a bit of a new kind of role. موجود بس mostly tech companies. Still يعني you can't really find it in many places. It's not rocket science, it's just simply a specific role that they found to bridge a couple of teams together.
Okay.
Yeah. شو بدي أقول لك كمان عني؟
You do a lot of interesting stuff, basically. So if you want at least about computer science stuff, we will be discussing that. But say the other stuff you do on the side, it seems you do blog.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean بسافر كتير. مخفف شوي هلا بتعرف with everything that's happening. بس
لا داعي للهلع.
I have a travel blog, but before it was a travel blog, it was actually a somehow political blog. يعني أنا بلشت blogging بال 2006 بالحرب وقتها.
Okay.
وقتها حرب إسرائيل على لبنان. So بتعرف you need to vent, you need to speak out. Blogging was a thing. Twitter was still not a thing. So that was probably one of the first forms of expressing yourself. Obviously كان في forums قبلها. I've lived through pretty much the internet age. يعني I started living on the internet من وقت كان عمري 16 تقريبا. That means 96. You can basically tie it that way. لأنه خيي we had an internet cafe shop, a computer shop, recording CDs back in the days when it used to take you hours to record one CD to another. ما كان في شيء اسمه MP3 back then even. So I lived through the whole transition. It's amazing. So forums and then blogs. So I had a blog, and then I think I would say maybe 6-7 years later I realized إنه على الفاضي everything that happens بلبنان بتحكي the same thing happens again. You start seeing the same pattern as if like there's no point, honestly. I decided to kind of switch it to like رحت حضرت concert هون رحت لهون, and then وقت فليت من لبنان صرت سافر أكتر just due to the nature of my work. And eventually I actually wanted to test because I work in product marketing, which means everything that has to do with business products. يعني mostly where I work it means advertising. So I just created a Facebook page, and then I started promoting. I wanted to test our product basically. So I work for Facebook. So I started testing it that way. I'm like, okay, how can I test it? So I created a page, I created a blog, I revamped my blog to make it travel focused. And that's how it started. So basically I started enjoying travel blogging and writing about my trips, giving recommendations, tips, best practices here and there. And then I took it up a notch basically. So I started taking videos, جبت drone. So بلشت أتفلسف شوي. It was a hobby that lasted maybe a year or two, and now رجعت زهقت. It's not زهقت. It's just it takes so much time to edit a video. It takes days.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not
is
even
a
that good.
full-time job يعني ما هي بس بحد ذاتها إنه تedit videos. حتى لما يكون 5-10 دقايق فيديو I can imagine. This is okay. So هيدا البلوج عمره سنة بس basically ولا سنة
No, actually,
as a travel blog I mean.
no, as a travel blog, I would say 4 or 5 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So and you started it وقت بلشت بفيسبوك.
كان صار لي couple of years بفيسبوك. I started بفيسبوك in 2012. And I think I turned it into a travel blog around 2000, maybe 15, maybe something like that, or 14. I can't remember exactly. But so يعني I'm not like a full time. يعني بيطلع شي 5 posts بالسنة. I just do it for fun. It's one way to. It's like a creative outlet where you kind of force yourself to just do something outside of what you do at work, just a little bit different. تجبر حالك to be a bit creative, a bit out of your comfort zone, see what comes up.
Yeah. And so did you, how to put it, لأنه أنا لما يعني بصراحة لما شفت I thought it was something that you actually did on a full-time basis. So what got you started and يعني how did you start blogging about travel and why particularly travel?
Why particularly travel? And as I mentioned earlier, we obviously, because I'm, when I speak to clients, we're talking about best practices on advertising on Facebook, Instagram, what they need to be doing, يعني بهذا الcontext. So I wanted, obviously, the best way to speak about our own products is to dog food them, and obviously we are always encouraged to do that. Sometimes we help charities, not sometimes, a lot of times. So, but I also wanted to test my own thing. And to do that just for the يعني for the speed. قلت أنا إذا مثلا بدي أجرب حط مثلا كاروسيل بدل فوتو أو حط image video بدل عرفت. So just to try things. قلت أنا what looks good in an image. قلت أنا like traveling, landscape, just fun stuff where you do when you're traveling. قلت أنا let me just write something. I think my first post was about Croatia. And لأنه قبل كنت أكتب in a blog anyway يعني it was something بحب أكتب. بحب basically للحكي يعني بالكتيبة. So I find it hard to speak بس بالحكي. You've seen my Twitter يعني I'm always like on the go attacking everyone and arguing and then but also retweeting everyone. Yeah, I have
trolling is the way to go.
Yeah. So usually when people see me on the phone, it's like, who are you fighting with now? So I'm like, it just keeps me on my toes. It's nice. Anyway, so I started writing, and I think I also wrote about Berlin because I think Berlin really أثرت فيا. It's a beautiful city. Not beautiful in the sense إنه بتروح wow, everything is so aesthetic. It has so much history, and at the same time you can feel the people are so creative, are so like rebellious. So I just liked it. It reminds me of Beirut in some shape or form. So بلشت أكتب وحط صور لأنه أنا كمان بصور as a hobby. I'm quite an amateur. I'm not professional at all, but I take it as a serious hobby. I invest in it. I have a couple of good gear, camera, lenses, tripod. I go on photography workshops, so I kind of combine both. And because when I travel, I'm good at. And هلا إذا you want to go somewhere and you're not sure how to prepare an itinerary, just tell me where. I'll prepare an itinerary for you. It's just I love doing it. It's just fun. So بلشت حط مثلا recommendations إنه أوكي أنا رحت 5 أيام. I actually recommend you go for 7 days. And then instead of doing that, I think you should do that. Or you can do the same thing, but on a cheaper budget. Just take it. Again, it's just an outlet, a creative outlet for me. So been testing products for my company, just for me to be more comfortable talking about them and recommending them. بين أنا بحب أكتب وبحب صور. Everything just kind of came together, and I ended up with a travel blog. It's nice to have something like this because it's a bit of my identity. It's nice for each person. أنت هلا you have these videos, these podcasts that is becoming part of who you are. For me, it's a little bit on travel blogging, photography, sometimes video. I did videos for a while. You need something on the side besides, I guess, your day-to-day.
Yeah. As when لما قلت Berlin art انه culture و history ذكرتيني بكومنت I saw هلا وقت بلشت الثوره، في حدا somewhere on Facebook كمان كاتب او كاتبه كومنت انه حدا سائل انه she's in Canada and she would rather live in Beirut لانه in Canada they don't have street art and Beirut they have street art. So I was like, hey, I don't want street art. بدي كهرباء ومي. Let's switch places. فهي بس لما قلت yeah Berlin. but I would understand Berlin لأنه it's a although I haven't been there, I've been to Germany but not Berlin. بس إنه yeah. Any other places you've been to that inspired you or were interesting?
Yeah, I mean it's hard to choose لأنه في كتير محلات وكل يعني it sounds cheesy يعني cliché. Like I feel like I'm the minister of tourism.
Can you move بس هاي للother غير هذا لأنه I think عم يضرب المايك. إيه.
أحسن.
ففي عم بيخشخش أمرار. لا I don't know هلا I will see.
أحسن.
Okay.
So I was saying إنه بتروح على كذا محل وكل محل عنده its own flavor, its own. So I can tell you a couple of favorite places I've been, and I can start with one that actually وقتها كنت هونيك كنت كتير مرضت. I had the flu, I had a migraine, I had شو بدي أخبرك, I had food poisoning. I was in Vietnam like 3 years ago. Yes, and it was a packed itinerary لأنه it wasn't me who created it because بتعرف نحنا باسبورنا كتير قوي.
بقوي كتير.
فيتنام وأعمل فيزا. There was only one way to do it is through an agency, and they had to book me the hotels and create my itinerary and the tours. They forced me. That was the only way I can get that visa. أنا خلاص I'm gonna do it.
Why though? Sorry.
ليش why Vietnam?
انه why did you insist قبل ما سوري قطعتك بس ايه
لانه I think so نحن another perk for working for Facebook is after 5 years you get a month off.
Okay.
It's amazing. Yeah.
After a dish
5 سنين.
5 years. Okay.
Yeah, it's called recharge. It's just to take it in addition to your days or anyway that you get per year. You get that extra month in one go.
Extra month.
Take it.
Okay, nice.
مش كل سنة, just every
5 years. This is like the sabbatical بالنسبة للأكاديمية. بس هذيك one semester أو 1 year بس
Much nicer. But anyway, so I wanted to go to Southeast Asia لأنه ولا مرة رايحة. So I combined Laos, Vietnam, and Cambodia. So Vietnam كانت بالنص. So basically إذا I couldn't get the visa, it would يعني بتغير كل شيء. And it was just a bit of a headache. وخلص بدي أروح فيتنام. I've seen pictures. I was very excited. Anyway, long story short, حطوا لي itinerary and I was following them and I was just like so overwhelmed. I was sick مثل ما خبرتك. مليون شغلة صارت معي and the itinerary was really fast. وأنا كان معي شنطة شو بدي أخبرك يعني رايحة شهر. I made the basically the amateur mistake إنه عبيت شنطة قبل ما أروح. مع إنه all I needed honestly was like a shorts and a couple of t-shirts. بس ما بعرف ليه أخذت كتير قصص بلا طعمة. And then I bought stuff. تعرف لأنه Asian things are just beautiful. Pants and t-shirts and bracelets and crafts. So بلشت أشتري هدايا وما بعرف شو. So we were based in Hanoi. Hanoi. And then they were taking me different places. بس كل يوم يغيروا لي اوتيل. Just imagine having to pack every day and then go من الدولة بالليل, and it was تعبونة. Long story short, after 2 weeks of that, I can tell you more about that. That is one of the most memorable trips I've ever done. لأنه شفت a lot of Vietnam. رحت على مليون محل. It was beautiful. I was on my own. I had friends here and there where I met them in certain locations. I met friends that I met in Laos for the first time. رجعت شفتهم بفيتنام لأنه usually that's kind of the tour you do. These are the 3 countries you go to. So we re-met in different places. I met other friends in Cambodia. It was really nice. So it was a kind of like a self-discovery trip. Foodie, you're trying different food, history, just culture, just looking at Vietnamese women in general. Like I know today is International Women's Day. I have to call out these women are amazing, and هن بتخيل قايمين البلد، هن بيحملوا metaphorically and physically بيحملوا البلد. They're just amazing. So it was a beautiful trip, I would say, and a beautiful place I highly recommend. Other places, you mentioned other places. I love Croatia, I love Cape Town, I love Sri Lanka. So obviously Amsterdam, Berlin, Paris. I love Paris, even though a lot of people hate it and they say it's overrated. For me, it's a magical place. I love it. Yeah.
Sounds like a very Woody Allenian thing to say. Woody Allen is fascinating.
But okay.
You don't like Woody Allen. ايه لا بس انه على طول بتذكره بهيك اشياء particularly لانه عمل Midnight in Paris movie. And about how magical it is and whatnot. Yeah.
Magical, على فكرة, just to point it out, not magical in the perfect way.
In
magical
the perfect way.
You're gonna smell piss in the metro station.
Of course.
Someone is going to harass you. All of that. But this is what makes it magical. Just like it's so real, you know.
Hey, is this not a trait Lebanese have? إنه they romanticize all shitholes مثل لبنان.
أنا if you open the door
إنه لبنان بعد من امبارح حاكين عنه إنه ما لبنان أحلى شيء، إنه ما لبنان ما في مثله لبنان.
It's crazy.
إنه
لا أنا ما بعرف if you saw a couple of my tweets يعني I usually spoken people like what do you mean by إنه لبنان أجمل بلد ولبنان is home. For me, a city is made of men, not walls. So لبنان إذا بحبه كرمال عائلتي وأصحابي، بس برات هيك what is it to be proud of? What is it to romanticize? And we over-romanticize. The grass is so greener بلبنان. بتنزل على لبنان مثل ما قلت كهرباء ما بتجي، ما فيك تدور ما يستخنق. بتذكر كنت فل من الشغل اطلع تدور البلدية بالشغل، إذا داير يعني بالبيت ما عندي كهرباء، سو أقعد ترم أي ساعة بدي أوصل لأتحمم لأظهر. ومش بس هيك السواقة how short term people are. You can tell from the way they drive they're short term. ما بيطلعوا أكتر من مخارهم، كله بده يزمر لبعض، كله بده يدحش لبعض. أنا قبل ما فيلم لبنان كنت عاملة ستريس مش طبيعي. I think if I stayed there I would have lost my mind. I don't know how people cope. أجادهم. بس it also I think destroys your soul يعني. Or maybe the only way to cope with it is to do the whole لبنان أحلى بلد وخشب الأرز وطبولة وحمص وهالقصص هولي.
ايه بس هن particularly they start romanticizing لما هذه على قولة How I Met Your Mother when they have graduation goggles يعني لما يطلعوا منه بيصيروا have you not experienced that إنه بس when did you leave Lebanon?
I left in 2012 and I did romanticize.
الوقت بلشت بفيسبوك يعني it was your move was to Facebook.
Yes.
Okay. بتذكر
the first tip was from someone because I was worried about getting homesick because again أنا عايشة بلبنان كل حياتي. I never studied abroad يعني كتير كنت homey. They told me to avoid getting homesick you need to romanticize less. You need to remind yourself يعني of the realities of things. يعني بعد اوقات بقعد وبقول يا الله هيك بنزل بقعد شهر بلبنان بركي بطلع بشتغل من بعدات وفي جنينه حد ما بعرف شو. بس I've tried it. الانترنت ما بتمشي، ما بقدر اعمل كولز، انه it's a struggle. بتخانق مع عالم انا عم بسوق. I try هلا بنزل I don't rent a car anymore لانه ما بطيق سوق تحت. And then I think I don't know if I should say that out loud بس عم بحس there's the last few times and I'm guessing other expats we're not expats, we're actually the diaspora. We're expats بدبي بس بالنسبة للبنان نحن تركين لبنان مهاجرين لبنان. آخر كم سنة مرة على مرة بتنزل العالم اللي حواليك they're not happy obviously بس it's في like a sense of collective depression. There's some people are in denial, some people are in ما بعرف they're trying to leave and it's on everyone's minds.
We all are.
يعني انا بيسالوا لي انه في شغل بفيسبوك بعطيهم لينك this is the careers page اذا سمعت the agency are hiring please let me know so I try to connect people as much as I can I try to encourage people to find اذا بعدهم صغار يدرسوا برا في كتير عالم مجربة تهاجر على كندا so I give them you know the website of someone who can help them prepare their papers you know because it's not sustainable obviously the way things are and we know يعني what's been happening obviously in the last 4 or 5 months is the epitome of the downhill trip we've been going on in the last 10 years 30 years 50 years I don't know it's not
50
it has
60
never been good.
70 عشوائي يعني صراحة.
I cannot remember a time when لبنان كان منيح. So yeah, it's really sad. So مرة على مرة بتنزل على لبنان and it's just it's frustrating, it's sad. يعني أنا من شي كم سنة قلت لها لأمي ماما فكر ارجع على لبنان and please know that أنا فيلم أنا when I was still interviewing my mom said أكيد ما رح تتركي لبنان تروحي تعيشي بأيرلند إنه what are you talking about؟ قلت لها لا مام أنا بس هيك عم بعمل interviews إنه you know like it's an experience. Eventually I realized I am scared to go just because I don't want to get out of my comfort zone and this is where you tell yourself okay what is stopping me from taking the next step? Is it a real legit reason or am I just scared? When I realized I'm scared I said yes to the offer and I moved there. And then few years later عم بقول لأمي يا الله عم فكر ارجع على لبنان انه كلكم تحت وما بعرف شو انا لحالي هون. قلت لها مجنونة. فلتك من لبنان is the best thing you've ever done and it's true. I am in a much better place career wise financially mentally عرفت emotionally I'm in a much better place just because I left Lebanon and it's sad to say this out loud but it is the truth.
ايه ما هذه خلص it's we've exhausted I think the discussion والtopic when it comes to شو بيصير بلبنان وما بعرف شو so يعني as you said في a mix of PTSD مع depression collective depression collective ما بعرف disgust with the status quo تبع البلد ومليون شغلة فايه ما it's a dead end بس كنت ما بعرف if I think you follow فعور محمد yeah ايه so the other day كنا عم نحكي انه على دبلن عم بيقول لي انه why don't you move there ما بعرف شو قلت له okay fine etc long story short في اشياء مخيفه بتصير بايرلند كمان يعني ليمريك وهولي انه they're not better شكلهم من اللي شرح لي اياه يعني so how was your move من بيروت
ما بعرف ليه اخذك بهيدا
ما ايه of course دغري قلت له خيي شو جاي تعطيني ليمريك و it's one of the most شو هي ستاب كابيتال اوف ما بعرف اذا يوروب او ولا ايرلند بس انه ايه
ما بعرف
وقعد يبعث لي فيديوز I think he doesn't want me to go there شكله عم بخوفني
I think he's just toying with you.
Yeah لا so ايه how was it?
Yeah no it was great. Dublin is it's a small city. It's relatively smaller than يعني it's not London, it's not Paris, it's not Amsterdam. It's a rather small city. وحتى أنا وقتها كنت there's like funny anecdote إنه نحن كنا إنه you have Facebook, you have Google, you have these are like kind of بوقتها the top 2 tech companies there وبنشتغل حد بعض it's like a 10-minute walk between both campuses and most of us live in the same area. So it felt like a university kind of experience where we're all in the same place and all your friends are either Facebook or Google or both. And then usually الأحد تعرف نحن اللبنانية معودين غدا نهار الأحد is a thing. مش بس لبنانية, we had other fellow Arab friends, Syrians, Egyptians. So okay بدنا نروح ناكل أكل يعني نهار الأحد. So it was really funny لأنه كان في يمكن كان مطعمين بس لبنانية هونيك. So أغلبيتنا نروح نلاقي بعض هونيك randomly, not even to plan it يعني it's just like these funny things قد ايه دبلن صغيرة that we kept running into each other. بتذكر كان مثلا مطعم الكيتشن بيسكر 9 قصص من هالنوع. هلا I think it's much they're keeping up with the times, they're realizing they are becoming a more central place, a more important place, it's a tech hub It's attracting a lot of talent. A lot of people are moving there, living there. Obviously, there's lots of gentrification that has been driven. Rent prices are crazy. يعني أنا وقت رحت
هذا اللي قال لي اياه.
this is probably a struggle, and I know you have to basically pay a lot and still have a roommate. While أنا وقت رحت I was paying 850 euros for one bedroom لحالي. I know that this no longer exists now. Apparently,
بس هذه already it's expensive.
Yeah.
ايه
So it's moving with the times, but it's a nice, cute city. And then it just Ireland بحد ذاتها is beautiful. يعني أنا وقتها ما هي المشكلة وقت تبلش تظهر وتسافر وتروح وتجي بترجع على لبنان بيرجع عندك عالم مسافر يمكن 5 مرات بحياته على كم بلد بقول لك لبنان أجمل بلد ولبنان الخضار. كيف يا خيب mathematically speaking افتح طلع geographically بيقول لك مساحة الخضار بهالبلد وبهالبلد والproportion. We're not in a good place. This is not something to be proud of. يعني أنا وده حدا قال لي I'm proud of what إنه كان I forgot that من 100 سنة قديش كان عنا خضار بلبنان. I think we were close to 40-50%. هلا قديش صرنا إنه it's probably it's a one digit if I'm not mistaken. I don't know.
I wouldn't know. بس أنا for some reason حسيت إنه صار عم بيصير في خضار أكتر هلا. at least بمطارح معينة بس as an overall ما بعرف. لأنه في مطارح عم بيكسروا فيها إنه كسرات وهذا.
بس صار في عنا at least reserves عم بيرجعوا يزرعوا إنه this is a good sign. بس بطل إنه بيروت كانت خضراء، جوني كانت خضراء، هلا بتحس في concrete much more. And this is just one example إنه إذا بتروح على أيرلند مثلا I would recommend at least you visit. It's a gorgeous country. خضار على الحل لأنه بتشتك تقريبا كل السنة.
ما هو بالضبط كمان هذه compared مع الكلايمت تبعنا بس it's too wet and humid for my taste شكلها مش ما بعرف إذا humid بس
that was my problem.
Yeah,
that was my problem.
يعني
That's why I left. I couldn't stand the weather. And they moved my role to Dubai in a way or another. يعني my role was supposed to be based in Dubai if I wanted to cover this region. So قلت أنا was getting a little bit homesick وكل الوقت عم بتشتت. قلت خلاص رح أروح على دبي. At least Dubai is like 3 hours away from Beirut. هيدا كنا بعد فينا نطلع فوق سوريا وقت بطل فينا نطلع فوق سوريا رجعنا 5
صارت 4 وشوي.
هلا 4 شوي. بس إنه like I think my learning from like living in 2 cities 3 countries ورا بعض is بالآخر except for Lebanon it is about making the best of whatever city you're living in. So if I go back to Dublin or a place similar to Dublin I will focus on what makes that city great. أنا كنت مفوكسة على الشتاء و I knew I was leaving so I never allowed myself to properly integrate because when you know إنك فالل you don't also want to fall in love with that city لأنه ساعتها you will feel bad about leaving. So it was probably a psychological decision, like a subconscious decision that I did to myself. No, don't like it. It's better for you to leave. It's not a good place for you. Although deep inside, I love Dublin. I went back so many times for work. And I sometimes stay the weekend with friends. And لا مهضومة. It's a nice city. I recommend it. So if anyone's listening and they're thinking of applying, reach out to me and I can give you some pointers.
أيوة هلا حيهجموا عليك كل الأيوبايت nerds. Do you want that? Do you really want that?
بعمل office hours على بعيشة.
تعملي office hours مع oh my god so, nerds all over the place nerds all over the place. لا ما تذكريني. Are you an أيوبايت كمان؟
No أنا درست بالجامعة اللبنانية.
Great. Yep. This was the way to go.
Nerds, actually.
I don't care. You're not the same kind of private university nerds. No. يعني صح إنه كمان امبارح كنا بنحكي بالموضوع إنه يمكن إنه psychologically it takes its toll on students etc. Lebanese university بس إنه بالنهاية it's a different kind of nerds لأنه you'll have to do يمكن the extra effort لتنجحي و to pass courses وهيك بس it's not the same kind of nerds. It's not the entitlement kind of nerds. ما بعرف اشرحها انه I cannot explain how or why بس انه في امرار بتحسيها انه it's different يعني and I've had interactions with students from other universities and I can tell you that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. بس how did you end up كمان في too many things we can unpack بس how did you end up in did you major in computer science because this is what you
so actually
how why how where when
it's actually a funny story. Funny, I don't know, it's funny, it's an interesting story I would say. لأنه وقت كنت بالمدرسة كنت premiere scientifique which I have no idea هلا اسمهم غير شيء الصفوف with new education system.
عم تحكي grade 12?
Just the year before the last year.
back one
قبل الترمينال back one so كنت scientific and basically بيعطوك choice to choose the next year what you want to do and I had two options لأنه I liked science and I liked math.
بس هيدي plug in sorry إنه لأنه كمان Women's International Day women in STEM etc. So you're actually هيدي it was not planned but no that's interesting to see your story and maybe encourage some people to opt for that road بس or that path.
So that was 1997 when I was making that decision. No, actually 1998 يعني كنت 96 so and تعرف يعني بوقتها إنه أنا كنت إنه I wasn't a genius I'm not a genius بس إنه I get good grades I'm good with math I'm very logical I loved math at least some aspects of it I loved algebra geometry trigonometry space and this is fun for me. كان عندنا أستاذ yes كان عندنا أستاذ though I think I didn't know back then but now I know the word and I think he which is misogyny. Back then I didn't know that I just thought I had to try harder to impress him kind of thing لأنه I'll give you an example. أول السنة كلنا عملنا test أعطانا كلنا like zeros and ones over 20 إنه هو القوي ونحن كلنا فاشلين لأنه we just don't know how to do math. نحن إنه what إنه we're in the scientific class it means we know. he wanted to prove a point وبيحكي عن حاله وبيفشخ وبيحكي عن السنة. تعرف أنا الجامعة اللبنانية الفنار هي السنة اللي بتعمل الماث يلي بفوت عليها 1000 شخص و only few people make it. ويضل يحكي عنه إنه هو طلع ونجح وما بعرف شو. وكان كل ما بده يحل exercise على الحيط on the board everyone يعني كلنا نقول إن شاء الله ما ينقينا لأنه if you made a mistake بده يغسلك. Seriously like we've been I don't know if they still abuse students the way they did with us but that was my case.
They still do.
لأنه كنت أكتب بسرعة ودغري على الطاير أفهم عليها. لا I made mistakes وتغسلت كذا مرة يعني بس still كان يطلعني أكتر من غيري because إنه I did well I'm not gonna say no and I was fine. بلشت معه كنت أخذ نص على 20 خلصت السنة أخذ 16 over 20 and that's because I made a mistake of missing a question. So I was like second or third in math بالصف. You know what happened is that عم بيسأل كل واحد سنة الجاي شو رح تعمل مثلا elementary math أو شو كان اسمها science X. Again I don't know what they're called now. I'm sorry I don't have kids.
بعدهم نفس الشيء.
something science de vie science de ما بعرف شو.
ما هدول life sciences بالإنجليش و general sciences.
So I wanted to do math and then I said math and قال لي أنت I'm not so sure you can make it. That happened to me. والقدامي في شاب قدامي he is not a bright kid. It was so obvious. He was slow. He was struggling and he said بده يعمل math. قال له yeah you'll be fine. And this struck me. I'm like how is this normal? So رحت قلت لها لأمي مام روحي احكي مع البرنسبل قولي له ما رح أعمل math بقى. I want to do science X. قالت لي ليش؟ قلت لها خلص وما بعتقد و I lost all confidence in myself. راحت أمي تحكي معه للبرنسبل جابني وعمل لي الوعظة and he told me one of the a sentence that has stayed with me all my life. قال لي إذا هدفك طريقه صعبة ما بتتخلي عنه بتروحي على الطريق الهينة. And this is like some deep shit, like this is amazing.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. أنا قال لي look at you إنه وقتها بدك بتجيب علامات وقتها بدك you're fine ما تخلي حدا هو يقرر عنك بتعرف هذا كل الخبرية. رجعت عملت ماث رحت عملت ماث كنا 32 students بالصف كنا بس بنتين و30 صبي. And I passed من أول تقديم and I was fine and I got a decent grade. Again I wasn't a genius but I passed لأنه أنا I'm generally lazy ما كتير بحب أدرس but I still did fine. And then what did I do? I applied to a couple of مدارس جامعات sorry. I couldn't afford a private university so رحت على الجامعة اللبنانية. تعرف الجامعة اللبنانية وقت تعمل كونكور it's not just about your brain it's also about who you know and I knew no one so ما حدا قبلني. رحنا على الجامعة. My only choice that was I couldn't do anything else إنه أروح على science faculty لأنه ما في فحص you can just register.
Oh okay.
Yeah so كنا 1000 شخص بالماث فاكولتي دي سيانس كنا شي 1000 شخص أول السنة. نجحنا I think 100 شخص and I was one of them.
Ouch.
So again إنه my what I'm saying here is like obviously في كتير كانوا بس عم بيضيعوا وقت ليرجعوا يقدموا على غير جامعات which is very يعني مش إنه the 900 other people are dumb they're just their priorities are different they weren't taking things seriously. بتذكر درست بنفس الطريقة اللي أدرس فيها بالمدرسة كنت أنجح and I failed the first couple of exams and I'm like oh wait this is university you can't pull this shit off you actually have to study. So رجعت شديت حالي صرت أطلع على سنين اللي قبل كيف كانوا يعملوا ما بعرف شو and I made it and then so باللبنانية you can't do immediately computer science you have to do 2 years of pure math and then the third year you choose either you continue pure math or you do statistics or you do informatics.
That's some decent shit.
So and then I moved على ثالث سنة عملت computer science it was third and fourth year and then I did my master's in computer science because back then I had plans to actually do my PhD be more academic and I did my thesis and the thesis taught me that I would hate being in academic I want to go and work so
very wise decision.
Yeah
Hey,
I wish I did
particularly
that,
computer science.
لأنه the thing is masters in computer science is super interesting you do all these like neural networks و advanced architecture واضرب واطرح بس you use zero of what you learn بالmasters in your work.
Oof.
It's very academic it's very high level thinking again super interesting but not practical at all unless maybe you're working in AI which بتعرف بلبنان we didn't have these opportunities and you end up doing things like يعني أنا وقت اشتغلت I was a web developer I did warehouse softwares accounting softwares shipping software like these kind of things this is what you end up doing and I got bored of it eventually and that's how I moved to digital marketing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, but can you reflect a bit more about this, the difference between academia and مش يعني على طول I ask the question بس هلا it's coming from a computer scientist who was able to kind of experience both. And لما عم تقولي you can only أو it might be helpful if you're working in AI. In what way would it be helpful يعني can you say إنه بيصير في innovation بالأكاديمية ولا الinnovation بيصير بplaces like Facebook and Google and then it translates into academic stuff يعني أي وحدة في
I think there's many elements to it أنا كمان I might sound outdated so if anyone can correct me at one point وقت يرجعوا يسمعونا feel free بس I'm talking أنا يعني عم بحكي أنا I worked in programming between the years of 2003 no actually I was a teacher for 2 years and then I moved to programming so around 2004 let's say to 2010 with some freelance before that I was in programming so the reason why I'd say إنه masters I did it لأنه again I thought I was going to do my PhD and then I just couldn't find a topic that is interesting except for maybe eventually robotics or something like that but خلاص I had given up after I did my thesis and it dragged for so long because I was working at the same time so the difference is as you mentioned I think it's innovation where when you're just doing standard programming, it's if then else. إنه okay بدي أعمل an interface where people can input things. I'm taking this data, I'm storing it somewhere, I'm analyzing it, I'm creating reports. Other people have different views, different access, different ما بعرف شو. You're testing for bugs. So you end up doing هيك قصص that ما فيها الكرياتيفيتي كتير. As opposed to يمكن I'm assuming if you're building algorithms, AI, anything that is smart, that needs to learn, that needs to interact in a different way, I would assume that's a little bit where you can use some of the learnings اللي فيك تدرسهم بالcomputer science, بالmasters computer science, like neural networks and things of that sort. The only thing that I can say probably stayed with me here is software engineering in general, like how to think about the cycle of a software from A to Z, and it just kind of teaches you how to think about things and how to retest and how to move forward. So it goes back to a little bit of like project management, على logic, على organization. So what I was trying to say is like if I knew that I was not going to continue in that direction, يمكن كنت عملت MBA, and MBA would have served me better in my career. Because I would have known more. لأنه أنا up until now I had never known what marketing is, economics, finance. عارف ما بعرف شيء يعني I'm like you wing it. The nice thing about working for the likes of Facebook and Google is that they really hire you, or let's say you are hired for one job and you're interested in another role. You can potentially get that role if you start doing it, if you see what others are doing and you learn from them and you start doing it. So مثلا I'm currently on a product marketing team. في عالم معي on the team أنا my background is computer science. في عالم background طبعا is media. Others is literature. Others is like nothing. And they just came from sales. And then not nothing, as in like sales. In that sense. So you know what I mean? Like this is the nice thing about sometimes it's just about who you are, the way you think, and are you a problem solver? Do you analyze? How do you think about how do you think about strategies? What are your kind of tactics? Are you good presenters? Do you explain well? So توصل لمحل بتحس إنه أنا what I studied in the university serves me zero where I am now. Yeah. Yet when you're a student or a high school student, you obsess about what is my core in it. What is that decision I'm going to make that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life? That's not true. You can change at one point. The only thing that you really need to study for بحس هو يمكن محاماة وتكون حكيم obviously. But other than that, you can. We should. I think
maybe
we need
probably
to
engineering.
Education. And engineering, yeah, like if you're really like you're building a house and you want it to fall on someone's head, or you're creating a machine that you don't want it تكهرب الدنيا وتقتل العالم. Obviously, like things like that, exactly.
Yeah, بس هول هن basically yeah.
But basically, I think we need to get to a point where rethinking education on courses. يعني بتعمل شيء 6 شهور, you learn the trade and you go on, because most of what you learn is on the job. And we put so much weight on high school diploma and all of that, and I don't think it's worth it for a lot of subjects. Not everything, but for a lot of it.
So is it true that places مثل Facebook don't even look at your degree?
Yeah, if you have, if you're, I mean, depending on what the job is, but generally if you have the experience can, I know several people that I personally know them, they haven't graduated school even, and they're in really good positions.
Nice. Yeah. On the one hand, give hope to people, and on the other hand, rub it in Ayubites' faces a bit.
It's about your personal journey.
They're like, no, I want. بس حدا طب this is the example they usually give. إنه لأنه عم تقولي ناس literature they would work at Facebook, for example. Facebook or ما بعرف other companies, big techs, etc. Would a Lebanese literature graduate land a job be Facebook with a literature degree? يعني لأنه their claim is إنه أنا إذا بدي فوت على places like Facebook or Google given my passport I need to have something هيك more credible إذا بدك أو some more skills like مثل computer science etc. It would be easier for other people with other passports to make it in to those big tech companies إذا عندهم a different passport بس ما بعرف إذا I don't know. This is what the argument they give is.
I can't. I mean, this is something where we need to look at data and really understand things. But was it that? Because I have to be fair. That person was in training before, but again, training has nothing to do with literature. But and she's Irish, so I'm not sure what her journey was. But sometimes you start in one role. يعني في كتير أوقات they just look for people just because they know Arabic. So they start there, but then they grow. They start coming up with solutions to problems, or like, oh, this person has ambition, and then there's a role somewhere else, so they can start talking to the hiring manager. If a role opens up, can you let me know so I can apply? And you can start moving in your journey. Obviously, I'm not saying it's very easy and it happens to everyone. Whoever it happens to is someone who deserves it, who's worked hard, who's built this knowledge over time. For the Lebanese, I think I would say أنا في كتير غيري بالشركة اللبنانية ما بعتقد their background is computer science, because again, computer science has nothing to do with what I do today. Sometimes I apply a little bit of how I think, the way I analyze things. That's still I am an analytical person. This stays with me. But I think it's about like having a degree in something always helps. And I'm in this day and age, and you have to have a degree in a strong. And I know I'm saying two different things. There's being realistic, and there's being, your dream of a better world where a degree doesn't matter, and we can do like shorter version certifications. But on the long run, you have Facebook, Google, ما بعرف, a couple of other companies like that, but then you have the rest of the world, so you have to adapt what the rest of the world can also, you have to have some sort of experience. Another reason مثلا why I think I was accepted at Facebook is because كان صار لي شي سنة ونص قبلها working for a media agency, and I was building my digital marketing, so I was learning about what it is to run online, to run campaigns. I was doing like those search ads on Google. So كنت أعمل هول القصص. So I was already kind of learning the thinking behind how to be present online, how to start capturing share of voice, how to start delivering your ads. بلش تحسب the CPM cost, the cost of things, how to optimize. So that was already being there. And also the first role I got did require a little bit of, not require, it was a plus. The thing is, being a computer science grad is a plus. Everyone loves that. Like, inshallah بدك تروح تحفر بالأرض, everyone, you're a computer or engineer. They like it because they know that you're someone who's worked their asses off to graduate at the end of the day. لأنه درست مليون language و algorithms وما بعرف شو. It is still an impressive thing, I guess. So it is a plus. I'm not gonna deny it. So it's like a guarantee. I just think don't put so much weight in the sense that this is something that you're going to do forever. It could change, and that's my learning out of my own experience. And it doesn't have to be the best universities out there. And I look at myself, and thankfully my ROI is really good, because I spent around $200 بالسنة على Lebanese university versus my friends and peers بأمريكا وكذا صارفين $100,000 ما بعرف قد ايه.
Hell yeah. Yes, you are the real MVP صراحة.
But you work hard. You should also rely a lot on yourself. And this is a good thing about places like Facebook and Google. I don't think كتير بهمهم where you graduated from. They care about who you are, what you can bring to the table, what your added value is, and obviously like what is the experience you have. Are you a team player? هول القصص.
Yeah. And how has your experience been thus far? Women in tech kind of stuff.
It's been great. Obviously, there's ups and downs everywhere. حتى on a personal journey, when you're, and I've been working for 18 years now, I think 18, 17 إنه كتير. So sometimes you go through this like, oh, I wish I can retire and just sit at home and do nothing. Or, you know, you go, life is like that because it cannot keep going up, you know, just makes no sense. You know, it's like that.
It's
and
not
that way you're
linear,
averaging.
yeah.
You average being, you know, a rather okay, happy person at times. That's more than enough. You know, we cannot hope for more. So for me, like being in this place taught me a lot من culture كيف نشتغل مع بعض. You are surrounded by really smart people, really smart. يعني everyone has a lot to bring to the table. The way they think, their previous experience. People think differently, so you're learning. They have different ways of tackling things. So كمان we have a strong culture of coaching, mentoring. بيعطونا كتير trainings. They actually put the trainings out there and it's up to you to go and ask for that training. So في كتير كمان about how proactive you are as a person. Also مثلا إذا لقيت مشكلة موجودة شي محل and you want to solve it, I can find an engineer and be like, listen, this is an interesting problem to solve, let's solve it together. And then, you know, you have people who are geniuses, who created really interesting things at work. Women are, you know, we have really good programs, trainings. في عنا program اسمه training اسمه Be the Ally. It just, I don't know, it's really interesting. It basically, it gets people together so they can share, women and men, but it's mostly about it's about allowing a space for men to understand a little bit more about the journeys of women, but not just women, people who come from يعني basically بتطلع على native English speaker white male versus someone who's grew up in an developing country, didn't have electricity. So بفرجوك the journey of those two people. Now we're in the same place, but I've had to do much more to get to where you are today, and just that creates a little bit more empathy. We're always, you know, working hard to make sure we have more women in leadership. Again, on merit, of course, it just means there's more pipelining, just more giving opportunities to have what ends up happening. And it's funny, we were having this discussion with a friend of mine a couple of days ago. We're not saying, you know what, I'm going to force people to have 50% of my team has to be women. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is when you're interviewing, how are you looking at CVs? Is your unconscious bias playing a role there? لأنه شو بيصير? Most of us, and not men, anyone, you know, when you're interviewing, you want to bring in people who are like you. Exactly. But this is not exactly good. What you need is diversity, because if you look at numbers and statistics and research, it shows you that diversity actually leads to better results for a company. لأنه people can bring in all these different perspectives to things, and then, you know, we challenge each other, and then we do better overall. So that's what we're saying. We're just saying give more opportunities to people and then choose the best. That's the idea. And then once we started doing that, obviously we're seeing more women in these places, which I'm really proud of. And that's something I'm proud of.
People who kind of forge their own path كمان. لأنه ما بعرف كيف الداتا بلبنان places like بس I think آخر مرة قريت something هون إنه يمكن I'm not sure بس I don't know الارتيكل بس كانوا عم بيقولوا إنه في كتير women computer scientists بلبنان more than men. I'm not sure if this is true or not.
It's possible لأنه أنا على وقتي I remember this did depend على الجامعة. بتذكر كانوا يقولوا لي يعني نحن باللبنانية both science faculty والengineering faculty we had a lot of women versus for some reason كانوا يقولوا لي مثلا أزيب أو AUB women in computer science, computer engineering كانوا أقل. I don't know if it changed now. Again, this was عم نحكي 18 years ago, 20 years ago. بس I remember يعني حتى مثلا لما كنت بحكي مع عالم مش لبنانية من غير كانوا يقولوا إنه هن عندهم like it's a very small percentage. Well, this is so interesting لأنه I think actually بلبنان in terms of education we were almost on par. Obviously, we need to look at the numbers year on year.
هلا أكتر أساساً
which is great.
The U and the UB statistics is more
That's amazing.
So women in Lebanon show computer coding is not just for the boys. All women hackathon. So I'm looking at articles, but female science advisors, case of higher education, etc. بس انه I do recall انه I read انه في this is a study that is done by I'm not sure مش محطوط بس with numbers nothing that I can figure out now. بس انه بس would you so tell me
Yeah, وسيسي أنا اشتغلت بشركة بلبنان اسمها Unilog بعدهم. It's an amazing company, software company. It was funny, like so in addition to the interviews, you also do like an IQ test. So that was fun, and I loved IQ tests back then because once you learn how they work, you kind of know the answer. Anyway, I think half of us were women, and I'm sure now بعد equation the same. Maybe they have even more women. I don't know. But back then again عم نحكي فوق ال10 سنين وقتها كنت هونيك. يعني في كتير عالم بيقولوا إنه بس بالeducation يمكن نحن 50-50. بس when it comes to work, women don't like programming, don't like coding. وبيقولوا لك يا شباب, you're like, I don't understand how you're saying this to me. I'm doing the job. يعني are you negating my existence? إنه ما بفهم عليك. And بتذكر مرة I had many blogs على فكرة. One of the first blogs where I just rant about things كانت بشي about programming, and someone I knew كان معي بالجامعة اجا وكتب لي قال لي women can't code, or this is what you're talking about is not coding. وقصص we get bullied, and that's the thing. I don't know if women بعضهم لهلا they hear stupid things like this. بس انه بتسمع قصص. actually كمان اشتغلت بكذا بشركه ثانيه اسمها DecafQuest. كمان half of the employees were almost all women. So again انه it just shows to tell انه عندك عالم they're just so bitter and they want to spew and throw their misogyny based on no science, no research, no actual thing. بس بدهم يكبوا حكي just to discourage others. Obviously he was, I think, out of job. He wasn't working and he was
part
jealous
of the competition كمان.
It's just ridiculous, right? And then it's a bit sad يعني. And I worked at a place where again there were men and women, and same thing that two of us had to do. I used to be way faster than the guy. Not because women are faster than that. It's just because sometimes one person is faster than the other and the other is faster than this person. Gender has nothing to do with it. It's mainly about يمكن بتذكر في استاذ actually وقت عم بعمل masters. It was the first time he gives us a paper to write, and I wrote. مبسوطة أنا writing a paper. هذا الشيء مش موجود باللبنانية بتروح بتقفل الصفوف بتعمل فحص بتنجح أو بتسقط. عملت my masters بالAUST. It was nice, like they give you material to read, to research, وإنترنت. وبعد this was like a new thing, internet, So we're doing all of that. وكتبت paper وfootnotes وحطيت resources ومبسوطة بحالي يعني. I remember he said something like, you can tell that this person, her background is, and I was again the only girl in class. He pointed out that I don't know why he said that, but he said something like, women are more organized. What do you mean? Like, the thing is, I am very organized, بس إنه
not necessarily خاصة بإنه whether or not, بس you can find many lazy people around. But that's as I would assume, someone who studied computer science, they would at least be somewhat organized one way or the other. Last structure.
Yes.
ما فيك يعني تكت بكود من دون ما تحط الاكسبلانيشن تبعه. ما بعرف شو بسمون هولي
like documentation, internal
what you're doing for people who are reading your code, etc.
And again على فكرة عندك messy programmers, and that's a different conversation. They could be geniuses but they're messy. You can read their code, understand nothing. أنا I had this code of ethics whatever. أنا بحب أكتب لأنه مش بس هيك. You write it for yourself لأنه the nice thing about programming, it's a different world. When you start programming, it's so different from now. And I think the neurons I used in my brain are dead now. But back then what I used to do is you know you're in your zone and you're writing وعم بتحطها you're linking it to functions و object oriented وما بعرف شو فايت وطالع بتسكر your computer لأنه ما كان عنا laptops بوقتها it was mostly computers you can carry it بتروح your weekend you have fun you come back Monday morning ما بتتذكر شو كنت عم تعمل. So actually internal documentation was important لإلك كمان مش بس for other people. So you had to be structured, you had to be organized, you had to be efficient لأنه ما بدك تكتب 3 حكي على الفاضي while you can actually do the same thing in 2 lines of code. So it teaches you how to optimize, how to be efficient. It was a joy for me, even like debugging and all of that. It was fun until I just got bored of doing the same thing over and over. But no. It's a beautiful major. And if you're someone who's structured, who likes putting things مع بعض و linking و being optimal and optimizing things, I'd recommend computer science. But you can even learn it on your own. Yani you don't need to major in computer science. At the end of the day, if programming is what you're interested in, there's a million websites where you can just sit and learn.
في أنا ما بعرف I did not download it here على it's on my other laptop لأنه إجت فترة كمان كنت مفكر إنه life passes through learning a coding language and I still am trying to learn but it's not something I enjoy إنه to write code but I enjoy as you said the structure behind it إنه to see how people write their code و how they make stuff work. أنا بالنسبة لي صراحة at an analytical level computer scientists أو programming in general is the most philosophical format wise. يعني when it comes to form هاي structure و how you make things work this is philosophy for me. هلا content wise this is a different thing بس إنه structure والform how things are done يعني this is why I think many philosophers at some point were mathematicians as well حتى including Plato لأنه it gives you إنه the tool to be able to think about things in an efficient and clear way. إذا بتلاقي الناس اللي منا عاملة math when it comes to writing بيكونوا مش عم يكتبوا literature لأنه في ناس يعني Bergson was a mathematician and he wrote beautifully. اللي ما عامل math is up to a certain point some of them مش كلهم of course they write gibberish يعني ما بتفهمي شيء. بس it's interesting to see the structures بتفهمي اشياء انا عم في يعني لانه I took discrete structures at uni which is انه functions وهول ال on to وهذا ف it will true will false it's something that you study in philosophy but you don't delve into it بطريقه technical ف edu something
exactly
maybe this is what it teaches in philosophy بس tell me.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's just about يعني اللي بحسه هيك مثير للاهتمام إنه بالprogramming or math إنه you have a source, you have a process, and you have a result, and that's what I like, as opposed to just like and then this is why logic is very important, but also tells you يعني أنا من أنا وعم بدرس math عرفت إنه there's something called it's logical, it doesn't mean it's right because you can start from a wrong hypothesis, right? And this is very important that a lot of people don't pick up. And then it takes you back to إذا بتطلع هلا على السياسة بلبنان or when you're arguing with someone, you're saying something very logical and then they say something very logical and they're so proud of it. You're like, how do you not see that you're starting from a wrong hypothesis, from a wrong point? And that's why we're in this shit today, you know. And I used to be an advocate back then, you know, هلا ما بعرف إذا I still think it's the case, but you know, I always thought everybody should learn how to program at one point. Programming should be the same way you learn math, biology, catechese, whatever بيعلموه بالمدرسة. One course should be programming. Even if you'll never be a programmer, it's important for people to understand the structure, introduction of variables, how to use them, what are you trying to accomplish, make sure that you don't go into an infinite loop kind of thing, just kind of like small things like that.
And this is something very interesting you said, and this is why I focused particularly على انه the structure, the form is interesting. It teaches you that, but it doesn't teach you مش بس some people start off with a very wrong premise. So your argument, the difference between the argument being valid versus the argument being sound. So it can be structurally valid, it can make sense. The premises follow, and premise 1, premise 2, premise 3, premise 4, and the conclusion follows logically من هول premises, but the premises are wrong. This is not sound.
And I guess that's why في كتير عندك like groups of or communities that follow wrong ideologies, because بالآخر they do use probably that beautiful logic, and I was like, see, they're making sense.
It makes sense.
But they're starting. I don't know if you've seen. I would recommend for you to watch it. There's a new documentary on Netflix about flat earthers.
I've seen it.
So it kind of shares some examples, and then you have psychologists explaining why this actually works and how they were able to convince people to become flat earthers and all of that. It's quite interesting.
هلا هذه على طول كمان نحكيها بالصف او بفكر فيها, and it's something I read in several books. هلا wouldn't you think if it's helping people achieve what they want, and so far as they're not hurting anyone, this is good, and it's fine. And so far as you're not basically destroying people's lives, if this is how it gets you going, if this is how you can make sense of reality and life, then no, let them be.
Are we talking about this specific example of flat earthers or
in general? Flat earthers, except for the guy the other day, ما أعرف إذا شفت الفيديو who have you seen it? The guy who built a rocket ليشوف the Earth from above to prove
I've heard about that. I haven't.
And ما بعرف شو صار بالضبط. I think انفصلت الباراشوت عن الروكت and he had to fall and يعني راح خلاص. فايه بس انه he hurt himself, maybe his family and friends, بس انه كflat earther او كحيلا حدا who endorses a certain ideology, انه if it's practical for them and it helps them survive, do you see any problem with that?
If عن جد they're not hurting others, I don't care. And أنا مثلا people can believe in different religion.
This is where
obviously if I'm following one religion, I must think that the other religion is not the right religion. But for me personally, بهمني شخص يكون a good person with ethics, with morals. That's what I personally care about. If you're not hurting others, okay. But if we do specifically take the flat earthers example, I think you do hurt others because you're somehow diminishing the importance of science. Somehow someone who's actually potentially has the drive and innovation is just being put in the wrong place and driving the wrong thing, as opposed to they're not adding value where they're adding to the conversation. They're challenging you and you're like, what, because of you I'm going to find better solution. They're just nuisance.
Nuisance,
I mean, listen, I don't care if they're really not hurting anyone, it's fine, but I think they eventually I'm not sure.
In the case مع هون كمان بدنا نفرق يمكن between two different things, between what is factual at one level and what is belief based.
Yes.
So because we always have this discussion, particularly at the أول 2 weeks بالصف, the will to believe and the ethics of belief. Is it ethical to believe based on insufficient evidence? When it comes to flat earthers, because they أو مثلا take for example students who and it's not a joke, who believe that aliens built the pyramids. Archaeologically في عنا هذا, بس إنه they believe, or UFOs for example. The other day سمعت TED talk about it. هلا إذا حدا من my students heard me, they would basically tell me, لأنه I always trash talk TED talks in class, فيقول لهم life class is not real life. But anyway, so UFOs, belief in whatever it is. In the case of flat earthers, we do have evidence now and know Earth is not flat. But in the case of UFOs, do we have evidence that there are no UFOs, for example? And the argument that this person was giving was that science evolved based on having these weird stuff whereby we try to dig deeper and delve into whatever theories, weird or not, we have. And we were able to figure out what could be proven and what cannot be proven. So the guy who was arguing انه طب ما اذا نحن ما فتشنا اساسا, no matter how weird this hypothesis or this theory is, how will we ever know? انه just discard it انه لانه ما عليك شو عم يحكي انه UFOs ها I don't know.
I think someone said it, what was it? I think, let me see if I get it right. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence or something like that.
Is that Nasim Talib uses that a lot, by the way.
I don't know.
ما بعرف is influenced by someone else, which most probably it could be, but in a way, yeah.
Yeah, I probably read it somewhere. Yeah, but I find it interesting. I'm not saying I believe in aliens and UFOs. I'm saying we have not so far proven that they don't exist, which kind of tells you. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go, just because we didn't prove that they don't exist, it means they exist, I'm going to believe in them. I think this is the other extreme. It just tells me that there is a question mark. There is this whole, the fact that there's, I don't know how many, 50 million similar stars to the sun, which means there might be another similar Earth somewhere. We don't know. I'd like to think it's interesting. It just makes life a little bit more interesting. But no, I won't go as far as saying I think aliens built the pyramids. I don't know. I wouldn't make such a statement. But they're saying this and they're not hurting and they're not affecting science or research.
Let's look for it. Let's try to devise some sort of tool or something to figure out whether or not في شيء اسمه UFOs أو في شيء اسمه an alien life, whatever that alien life is like, or ما بعرف. Because otherwise, how would you? Because you think about it. مثلا, I'll give you a better, يمكن a more هيك concrete example. Singularity, for example. So, if you would like to explain what a singularity is, بس إنه أنا إذا بشوفها من برا من حدا من a philosophy background. انه as a singularity, and you'll explain what it is. انه بالنسبه لي طب انا بشوفها انه computer scientists و tech whizzes و geeks who are interested in something that is never going to happen. فليش عم بيعذبوا حالهم to begin with؟ بس هل from a different perspective بشوفها انه في عندهم هالبelief انه this might or might not happen, and they're thinking about it. What's his name? Is very well known in that field. I'll remember his name. إنه it is driving the field forward. عم بيصير في innovation لأنه they are striving towards a singularity one way or the other, whether machines could think, etc. So
yeah,
don't you see?
I have to say, yeah, I don't know much about the topic actually, so I cannot.
لا بس هيك simply. إنه مش tell me whether or not there will be a singularity, بس إنه you might have.
What I can say, I respect إنه sometimes we have to spend time trying to understand things better لأنه there's a lot of things that we don't know. I was a computer scientist. I cannot claim anymore لأنه صار لي فوق ال10 سنين. I haven't done anything. I don't really read about the subject.
Oh, okay.
There is a way where because when you're a scientist, there's a way of thinking. You think in a certain way, you handle things in a certain way. I can't claim I still have that, but I would say like generally what I've seen for scientists is that even if something is unattainable, unless you have 100% proof, sometimes it's worth like spending time. يعني مثلا في عالم بتسأل سؤال إنه we're spending so much money on space programs and all of that. Why don't we just take this money and help the hungry people and help with starvation. It takes you back to the example of if I can either fish for you or teach you how to fish, kind of thing. So if we don't understand the world we're in, I think this is like, it's really interesting because you don't know what you're gonna find. You might actually find the solution to a lot of things, but you don't know what you don't know. So you can't just assume because, you know what, that's what I know, khalas, that's what I'm going to focus on, is helping people stop starving. Is this a long-term solution? Is this going to fix everything? Is this enough? I don't know. I am team exploring outside of our own universe, just so we can understand more about us. لأنه just imagine if we never delved outside of, if we still think the earth is flat and Galileo was never executed and he never said anything about it.
House arrest, basically, but yeah.
And or like
he was sentenced to house arrest.
Okay. He was never executed?
Nope.
Wait, it was what's his name that was executed? Not
في people مثل Giordano Bruno, he was sentenced.
Okay.
بس
why did I think he was killed? That changes so much in my mind. Anyway.
لا بس he was sentenced to house arrest يعني. ولأنه
So it's just انه اذا بقينا in our own bubble، مثل مثلا if you تطلع باللبنانيه انه اللي عايشين بلبنان they live in a bubble, in a crazy bubble, and sometimes all we need is just to look outside and you see there's a lot of solutions just by looking outside and trying to bring in those best practices and learnings and methods and technology, bring it, and then we will fix a lot of things if we want it, if we didn't have lots of corrupted people in power. بس انه on the other hand في عندك عالم لا they're very convinced مثلا انه حيلا شغله بتصير it's about Lebanon, conspiracy theory, all of that. And if I take that as a metaphor to just kind of exploring space, exploring what's out there, that it could potentially teach us something that could help where we are and help Earth in general, then yes, I would root for that. Obviously إذا وصلنا لمحل إنه everyone is dying of hunger, then you go into survival mode, this is a different conversation. But no, sadly, I think if I'm not mistaken, we have gotten better over the years with the whole starvation thing. That's another plus, I guess.
ايه so انه مثلا لما نقعد نفكر اذا machines could think, if I am a philosopher او a person who thought that machines could never think وما في Turing test وفي ما فينا انه شو هاي قصة انه machines that could think او machines that are self-aware, are self-conscious, would we have ever come to the point whereby we've developed whatever we developed thus far? So this is part of the question. And إذا ما عم نفكر, as you said, if we're not trying to explore beyond the boundaries of our knowledge, would we ever evolve? But the other question is, why all this? If you think about it, and what the hell are we doing? And and particularly you're interested in philosophy, so I don't know. I'm curious about other points of views. And I'm بسأل حالي أمرار إنه طب why the hell do we do everything we do? ليش ما إنه نقعد في أكل وأكلين شاربين نايمين and we sleep and we just do absolutely nothing. Why عم نحكي local level, يعني at an individual level, at a society level, and at a, as you said, science exploration وما بعرف شو إنه.
I think because otherwise we'll just get bored to death. يعني you know what I mean? We occupy ourselves with things. عندك العالم يلي they're after space exploration، عندك العالم يلي they're looking at sustainable farming and renewable energy، وعندك العالم يلي معجوقين بالفاشن، وعندك so you have all these. وعندك عالم they're just living normally، وعندك عالم مثلي بشتغل like a 9-to-5 job and then I travel so I can just keep my life interesting. But sometimes I think I don't think there's this deep meaning, or we're all here on earth to uncover something. We might uncover something. I don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime, unfortunately. I am curious, and بعد 200-300 سنة, you have no idea how curious I am. It's like, I want to know how things will be then. Like, what are the things that they will make fun of, not fun of us. And you cannot imagine your life without internet. You cannot imagine your life without a phone, without a roof of over your head. While مثلا آلاف سنين من قبل كانوا يعيشوا بخيمة وكانوا يعيشوا ما بعرف. It's interesting how much we've changed, and I am curious to see what's going to happen in a few years. But why are we living? What is the point? I personally don't think there's a point. I think I don't know if you've ever seen, what's his name? Tim Minchin? Do you know him?
No. Let me. How's it
He's
written?
an Australian comedian / actor / kind of, I think, philosopher, art kind of person. He's very interesting. You might find a YouTube video that says the 9 lessons of life.
I think I've heard that is
yeah, it's like a ceremony for like
who with the guy who gave the keynote speech.
Yes.
Hey, I know.
And he just tells you 2 things, and I agree 100% with what he said. What I remember from it, and like life is both meaningless and a miracle, and I agree. I think it's a miracle that we exist. I have like this house and I have a garden. بلبنان ما كان عندي كهرباء, بس إنه I exist and I have this weird thing that keep me. وبروح بحضر flamenco or بروح بحضر movies, and there's this Hollywood. There's like all these elements to life. It's so interesting. People are getting creative and doing a million things at the same, and that's we have this consciousness that makes us different from all the other creatures around us, to appreciate this life. On the other hand, that's it. I don't think there's a deep, crazy meaning behind it. I don't think we're here to. But then again, I'm actually contradicting myself, because I just said we don't know what we don't know. So there might be something out there that there is a good reason for us to be here. So who knows? Yeah. Not me, for sure.
But certainly there's an internal drive that gets you going. For you to have taken the decisions that you've taken thus far in life, you've decided to move, مثلا, to a different job, different countries, different places, and travel, etc.
I think لأنه personally عم بحكي, ما بعرف إذا, again, if some people are still listening thus far.
I take snippets وحطهم بعدين, so don't worry. Is there something you need to?
No, just my cat. I don't know if you can see him.
Oh, hey, hello. What's his name?
اسمه Leo.
Leo. Nice.
Yes, I adopted, and he's eating a plant. Oops. Okay, I'll deal with that later.
But actually, it's fine.
No, it's fine. It's okay.
I can.
Should I put more light, by the way, or is this fine?
That's fine. Fine.
Lighting.
Yeah.
شو كان بدي أقول؟ personally, I avoid, لأنه I can go into this rabbit hole of overthinking, of this existential crisis of what am I doing here? What is the point of all of that? And I tend to do that, often. يعني مش مرة كل 10 سنين, at least مرة مرتين 3 مرات بالسنة. I go through that.
Through what particularly?
Through the existential
شو عم بعمل هون?
What is the point of anything that we're doing?
إيه.
And it's scary because you have to get yourself out of it, because maybe there is no point, but it's also keeping yourself busy and living life and enjoying time with friends and family, as much as traveling, doing a little bit of hobbies here and there, is probably maybe this is all there is to it. And if you start overthinking and you go into that, I was reading somewhere, I don't know if you've read this book, the art of not giving a fuck or something.
The art of not giving a fuck, yes. Mark Manson, I think.
Exactly. في شغلة بقولها بالأول, which is really nice, is that especially مثلا عالم مثلي, where أنا currently I'm actually in a stable job, financially stable. I have my health, my family has their, like everything is fine. And then you feel that way. You feel like, what is the point of things? And then you start feeling guilty. Like, why is a person like me feeling bad while في عالم عم بتموت من الجوع, or في عالم are being prosecuted, or في عالم عم ينشحطوا من بلادهم and they're living in a tent or not even. And then I'm feeling guilt and I'm feeling bad about my life. And then you feel guilty about it and you feel bad and you go through that spiral, which is really bad. So what I liked about him is that he said the solution is to just get out of it. Because what ends up happening, and again, I'm not a neurologist, but I know a little bit, your neurons get connected to each other. So if you're thinking about a certain thing and you keep thinking مثل عم تحفر خلص هول
reinforce it,
so every
yes.
time you think ايه خلص بتفوت بهيدا connection. So you just need to change, you need to connect to another neuron, you need to snap out of it. It's not easy because sometimes people are dramatic and they like living a dramatic moment. But it could be also dangerous where you find yourself in a proper depression, and it's not easy. Your body could be going through something, hormones, مش عارفني, ما بتاكل مزبوط, تعبان, ما بتنام منيح. So there's all these factors actually that could put you in a tough spot, and I don't have an answer, but I think what I found is that you just need to keep yourself busy. So I'm afraid of retirement, for example. As much as I dream about retiring, I'm also afraid of retiring. شو بدي اعمل when I retire? شو بدي اقعد اعمل؟ بتخيل على تويتر عم بتخانق مع العالم. That's probably what I will be doing when I'm like 90.
This is what when you're 90, so you will be working until you're 90. You'll retire at 90. Yeah.
It's interesting لأنه هلا كمان you have all these like studies I'd say إنه بيقولوا إنه because our lifespan is now, you know, on average we're living until 80. Some people are living until 90, which means if you retire at, let's say, 60 or 65, one, you need to sustain yourself until you die, so you need to save enough money for that. You need to change your lifestyle. At the same time, بيقولوا لك on the other hand, what we've seen is that people can change their careers, can actually go back to school, learn something new, and then go and work, which is interesting because that would be, is this the dynamic in 10, 15, 20 years? Because that would be by the time I retire. So does this mean أنا مثلا معقول غير بلش أعلم بركي أدرس philosophy أعمل مثلك وبلش أعلم philosophy, you know, that is actually something that I would love to do, either philosophy or psychology. Am I going to, I don't know, start making documentaries because that's something I'm interested in as well, and that could be my like part-time. I still make some money, I keep myself busy, you give yourself a project, because I think as human beings we like to check a box on like a to-do. Okay, اليوم عملت it gives you a sense of accomplishment and then you feel productive. For me personally, if I am not productive, I feel like I'm better dead.
And productivity is something that you define? Well, it's something that is defined by society around you. In your case, I'm بحكي, مش in general.
In my case, whether it's society or not, I just like to accomplish things. Currently, it is my job. Yani I have projects that I lead or I co-lead or I help on. It makes me feel good, especially coming from being a programmer. It's all about closing the loop.
Yeah.
So you don't just start, ما بتخلق software and then you wish for the best. You actually finish it. You create something, you have the interface, you have the database, everything is working perfectly. You test it, you send it to the client. Done. So it's a sense of accomplishment. Sometimes in my current work, I don't get to finish things. لأنه you're working with multiple people, you're working with clients, sometimes a project doesn't ship. So I get a bit frustrated. So I give myself يعني بجرب لاقي قصص that I can definitely, هيك قصص صغيرة بس to tick the box, بس لأقول لحالي إنه okay, I'm moving forward. Is this defined by society? I mean, definitely my role it did not exist, I think, before. It's very new. It's only maybe 5-6 years old. It's still being defined. We keep improving it and changing it. But I think we all think, يعني نحن society at the end of the day we're one. Like Anna was, you know, we're all trying to feel that we did something by the end of the day, or else why did we live that day? It's a scary thought that sometimes يعني أنا وقت I was telling you about that recharge month رحت شهر بتصدقني إذا قلت لك إنه آخر 3-4 أيام I was on this island 300 شخص population beach and I was bored. I just wanted to come back to work. And I know إذا حدا بيسمعني بيقتلني بس you just get to a point إنه what am I doing? So you miss people, you miss talking to people, you miss brainstorming, innovating, negotiating. I think personally أنا هالقصص I enjoy them.
It's in هو in so far as you're enjoying what you're doing ومش you're stuck in a place whereby you just have to do your job because you have to do your job because you need to sustain yourself and your family and yourself, etc. But hey, this is partly interesting لأنه ironically وصلنا لعند Aristotle, which was not planned, by the way.
Oh.
لأنه and I hope it might help. So as an Aristotelian working, or not an Aristotelian, so Aristotle, لأنه I wrote an article called Socrates Goes to Silicon Valley, and
that would be a nice sitcom, by the way.
I'm not sure.
patent that before someone else steals it and does it.
بحس في كذا حدا ممكن يعملها كمان بس إنه the idea is إنه حتى إنه Socrates would go to Silicon Valley, and by virtue of his philosophy and way of life هو in real life he was sentenced to death. In real life up to a certain point في ناس بيقولوا بركي Socrates ما عاش وما كان موجود. Anyway, so he was sentenced to death. So الفكرة كانت إنه راح على to sit for an interview in Silicon Valley, and then instead of they asking him questions, he was asking the questions, and then they were like, they showed him the door at the end, and خي هل عنا انت واسئلتك البلا طعمه ما لنا خلقك. فبس in this case, the Socratic method, هي an ancient philosophy, and this is why I like ancient philosophy. They were asking themselves the same kind of questions, and why are we here? And for them, the purpose, whether or not there was a purpose in life, who ultimately to achieve eudaimonia or happiness. And I don't know if you had the chance to look at the things I sent you. And this is where I think Aristotle comes in nicely, because he says, and ultimately, we are seeking happiness because happiness is an end that we seek for itself. يعني when you're seeking honor, when you're seeking achievements, objectives, etc. هيدول كلياتهم means to an end. يعني you get a degree because you need a better job, because you need a better pay, because you need a blah blah blah, better house, etc. Same with status in a society. You constantly seek to improve your status as means to an end, because you would have better opportunities, etc. But the only thing that we seek ultimately in itself and for itself is happiness. Happiness and tranquility. هذه sense of over يعني لما يكون الواحد anxious all the time وهال anxiety. فبالنسبة له he إنه بيقول طب okay نحن how can we achieve happiness? And for him, achieving happiness is doing our function properly. And our function properly is, as rational beings, is to live in accordance with reason in order to achieve excellence. And for him, excellence is to be able to figure out the mean, the middle ground between two extremes, deficiencies and excesses. I don't know if you can...
two extremes?
To find a middle ground between two extremes. يعني مثلا between, and he gives the example of if you want to be courageous, courage is the middle ground between being what's the word that he uses, I forgot, بس إنه تكوني يعني to be a coward on the one hand, أو إنه on the other hand إنه تكبي حالك على to be reckless kind of the middle ground would be to find something in between these two extremes. So بدك تحكي مثلا a simpler example would be diet. Not eating anything is you would become anorexic. Maybe eating a lot, this will have maybe in the long run it will affect your health negatively. So your mean would be to be able to find something in between there.
Yeah.
And he applies it on other things in life, and he says, well, this is what we need to do in life to figure out the mean to live an ethical life, because an ethical life would allow us to achieve happiness eventually. So when we're living like that as human beings, irrespective of what you're doing, you would be happy. I don't know what you think about that, given that we've discussed.
I agree about balance. I think, let me try to see if I can pick an example. مجرد ما نفكر بbalance, trying to balance things, it just grounds us in the sense انه لأنه I'm assuming مثلا what could tend to happen is that if to be happy I need to be super rich and I need to own the best cars, I need to, let's say, this is an example.
Yeah.
And then obviously what you realize is that that is not the case. You are not going to be happy just because you're super rich. You're definitely happier, but is this the ultimate? You start feeling like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? So you're on that arrow and you're going. Balance is kind of like just brings you in the middle and tells you it's okay to be in the middle. You don't need to go to the extreme. Same as a person, مثلا. I think Dali says it. I have it somewhere. Have no fear of perfection. You will never reach it. It's just behind me there. So again, like what خاصة I think as students we have that, like I think when we're still 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, we think we're going to be perfect. We think we're going to have the best education, the best job. We're going to have, أنا كنت فاكرة مثلا I will have my PhD by 25. I'll be a professor by I don't know what age, and I'll be married with like 5 kids, and I'll be, you know what I mean? Like I thought this was my life and this is perfection. And then you have some people who actually end up marrying the wrong person just to seek that perfection, or who have children just because they're supposed to, or who never leave the country just because they think this is their comfort zone and they're happy, and they're on the other spectrum, right? They're on the other end of that, you know, like I wouldn't say they're cowards, but I think people, and you've seen that stupid meme where like comfort zone and this is you, and that's what happens. So في كتير عالم at the same time you also don't want to be crazy unstable going everywhere and trying to seek happiness, because sometimes happiness can be, you know, just taking a step back and getting a massage or hanging out with a friend. So Anna, the way I see it is that if yes, like when you ask me about what is the meaning of life, I don't think there is a meaning, and that's why we keep ourselves busy. But my favorite moments always remain the moments that I spend with people I love, doing simple things.
Yeah.
Or going through محنة مع بعض, like something where في مشكلة عم بتصير and we go through it and we're still there together مع بعض. It's just kind of those simple things where you know, yeah, like simple moments of pleasure, not being overly, or if you look at love, for example, if عندك عالم they fall in love like crazy love, they're obsessed, and again for me this is not good. This is the other extreme. You're obsessed, you're forgetting about yourself, you're, you know, and then again, like, and we can try to apply, and I'm saying that I'm not saying I always do it, because sometimes I get obsessed with my job and I start stressing out, and I'm not saying this happened a long time ago. This is a couple of months ago. It happens to the best of us, even when you're trying, not best, but you know, even though أنا حاطة لحالي إنه I want to keep a work-life balance, I want to you know, achieve all of that, still maintain my contact, my quality time with my family. You don't do all of that. You say you want to, and it's not a bad thing. It's okay. I think this is what we need to tell ourselves. Like, it's okay. This year you might do good at work, but you might not really travel to the places you want to. Next year you're going to spend much more time with your family, but you're going to have to deprioritize. And احنا بالشغل I love that they're always encouraging us about, obviously you still need to do your job and you need to meet expectations, but you don't always have to exceed and greatly exceeds your work. Sometimes you can take a step back and focus on your family, focus on your health, focus on a hobby. So I don't know if I'm answering your question in that philosophical way, but the way I see it is it's okay, you cannot prioritize everything. There's a book I recently read, by the way, I sound like I read a lot. I don't read a lot. I read like 3 books a year, but they stick with me there.
Much better than many people who claim they read 50 books, 1 book a day. عرفتي كيف؟ Yeah. Or 1 book a week, sorry. Hey.
Yeah, I know some people who do that, but I'm amazed.
I would بس ما هي it's not about that. It's إنه
so how much do you retain?
How much will you retain, and do you really have the time to read a book a day? يعني not unless you're an academic who teaches 2 courses a semester مثلا.
And you don't watch TV.
And you don't do absolutely anything, and you don't you watch TV. Hella, we'll get to that. But and you fight with many people on Twitter. Oh, that's interesting. Hella, we'll talk about this. But anyway, because you said something as well, and I don't know whether or not I answered that philosophically. For me, you are more philosophical than many a philosophy professor. And مش عم أقول هيك بس لحتى لي to make you feel better about yourself. بس لأنه it shows that you are tackling it from your own perspective, not from an academic perspective whereby you're teaching this or that philosopher. So you're living it, لأنه your existential crises, etc. So you've given it
a think about things. So the other book I was going to mention, and I think if I would recommend this book if you want to put it in your snippet at the end. If someone is going through إذا حاسين حالهم they're overwhelmed, they're not able to keep up with things, there's a million things. It's called Essentialism. And مختصر مفيد, I can, it's by Greg something, somewhere there. مختصر مفيد, it's about, let's say أنا كليليان, I want to travel to 80 countries, and I want to become a director in my company, and I want to I don't know, become an excellent motorcycle rider, okay? I don't have to do everything this year. And this is what it's, and let's say, and be a great daughter. Okay, being a great daughter, I can be a good daughter, but let's say great, amazing, بدي أخذ أمي على كذا بلد وسفرها وأخذها وجيبها. So it just tells you that, look at things now. Okay, what can you put on the side and then do it later? So it just takes you back to what is a priority now, what do you want to focus on now, and focus on that. Simplify things. It doesn't mean you will never get to do the other things. It just tells you that right now you're not supposed to be doing everything, and it's okay. I think this is what we need to tell ourselves, that we tend, I think, I'm assuming, because I'm looking at myself, but I've seen friends do that. Sometimes we're too hard on ourselves, which takes us in that spiral loop, rabbit hole that I told you about, and then you start feeling depressed and that you're not enough and you're not doing enough, and what is the point of everything, and I'm not a good mom, or I'm not a good daughter, or I'm not a good employee, and then you're going down. So you just need to prioritize, take a step back. I know it sounds simpler than it is, because بتخيل في عالم مثلا إذا عم بيعملوا masters and they just had kids and they're working, they're doing all of that. Yeah, I've seen people do it, but do you have to? Is there something that you can stop and then focus on the other, just so you don't overwhelm yourself? Because what is the point at the end? Like, ليش كتير أوقات كتير نتسابق مع الوقت, and I don't understand that, because I used to do it. كنت أتسابق مع الوقت, and because of that, sometimes I made decisions that I don't think if I knew what I know now would I make the same. هلا I hire sometimes, right? When you're looking at a CV, ما بتطلع, and especially I want to say that to students, and it was an obsession of ours, of me and other people, انه اذا لازم اتخرج على 17 وارجع اتخرج من الجامعه على 21 ولازم اكون لاقيه شغل على 21 وشهر. هلا بنطلع على CVs, we don't care. Obviously اذا مخرج على 97 وهلا is this your first job is something weird, بس انه إذا مأخر سنتين 3 5 سنين بس you still have the will and the ambition and you want to work hard, nobody cares. So هيدا التسابق مع الوقت وستريس وبيعملوا ستريس على حالهم الأولاد بالمدرسة والجامعة وبالشغل حتى. You have to be promoted and I have to be a manager by a certain age and I have to... Dude, who cares? Just, you know, like, yes, keep giving yourself objectives and goals, but no, don't go crazy. And I know someone who knows someone. I don't know that person, but I was visiting San Francisco. I was visiting a friend, and she told me about a person who works for another company, a big company. I don't want to name names just in case. And that person قد ما كان عامل stress على الشغل, he ended up عامل عارض, and then the guy couldn't speak for months. He was like, just to tell you sometimes how much stress can do to a person.
Yeah.
For what? You know what I mean? Like, for what? You're not saving the world unless you are literally right now صار في a proper pandemic and you're the only doctor that can find a cure. That's okay. But other than that, we shouldn't really stress that much. And then try to balance things, try to find the small moments that make us happy. If I were to tie it back to our...
I see that with people, with consultants, usually. You know, they work a lot, and it's exhausting, and then they cannot keep up, and eventually, they have a nervous breakdown. في شيء بيصير غلط يعني.
Yeah, like a burnout or
And this is why I feel, I don't know if you've read the book. I haven't read it yet. I just bought it the other day, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I don't know what the entire story is about, but I know this guy was one of the most successful lawyers who came in the courtroom once, and he had a heart attack because of how much he was stressed وهالمليون شغلة يعني. So then it was like a wake up call, and he decided no, I need to do something else. كمان not to take it to the يمكن people they take it to one extreme, بعدين بيقول لا أنا لازم أعيش an ascetic life وما أعمل شيء بحياتي لأنه what's the point. So it's neither this nor that, as you were saying, and it's just enjoy the nice things in life without overstressing too much. It's هلا this book looks very interesting. I bookmarked it. I'll check it out soon. And you said something about series, TV,
yes,
Netflix. What do you
TV,
watch?
Netflix. I'm obsessed. I think this is me. This is one of my extremes, probably, is that I watch a lot of series. It's the way I give my brain a break. I don't know if it's a good thing. Maybe but
does it really give your brain a break?
Yeah, like I just stop thinking unless I'm watching something very dramatic or very like emotional. But generally, like comedy, light comedies, light dramas, I'd say. It's nice storytelling. I like بحضر أشوف كيف بيصوروا كيف بيعملوا lighting. I'm just interested in these things. But like مثلا Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Good Place, these kind of series, they're new, but
The Good Place.
So The Good Place is really good, by the way. You've seen it.
بس ما حضرت بعد latest season number 4, I think.
Season 4 is the last one. So I mean, no spoilers, but I think it's a very smart series.
I heard something about the ending, but ما بعرف. I didn't want to know.
No, let's not.
بس في كتير ethics about. Was it what got you into philosophy هلا lately? Because you said you were listening to a podcast, philosophy podcast.
So I don't know if it was you who posted. Someone posted their top 100 podcast.
Not me.
Not you. Someone else, and then ما بعرف ليه فتت أنا let me see what that person has selected. So شفت قصص شايفتها قبل لأنه أنا I do listen a little bit to podcasts, especially when I'm driving to work. Again, something that I'm trying to do more of, where I'm trying to educate myself and learn a little bit more as opposed to just listening to music. شفت and I've been trying to find a philosophy podcast for a while. في conversations with I think Steven Tyler, something Tyler. Steven Tyler. Anyway, I can again mention that later. But no, it's interesting. But the guy is super smart, and he's talking to super smart people. So I cannot keep up with everything they say. So and then I saw this blog post, and then that person mentioned it. And I saw it's called philosophize this. I got it right.
Okay.
And الحلو فيها إنه ببلش من episode 1. So بتبلش معه. And he takes you through everything. يعني مثل كأنه عم تتعلم صف I guess. ببلش يحكي عن يعني
sorry, but Stephen or Steven? Because Stephen is the Steven Tyler is Aerosmith guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's why and I tend to do these things, by the way. I mix things. Let me see, conversations. Oh, it's actually called Conversations with Tyler.
Conversations with Tyler. Okay. So let نشوف.
You know, you get it. It's interesting,
okay.
but again, I cannot keep up with all the conversations. Sometimes they're a bit above my pay grade.
بس لأنه too technical.
أوقات بيكونوا كتير مثلا very American, very عرفت يعني I need to know a little bit more about that field, that industry, that country. So ما عندي يعني that much knowledge, but it's impressive because I think he does a really good research to know more about the guest he's going to have, and then he asks them really interesting questions, and each episode is very different from the other.
Nice.
Yeah. So philosophize this. I am never gonna get it right. Fia, I think صار شي oops sorry episode 140 episodes so far. And then I'm only on episode 4, so I'm very excited about that because it just means وبيحكيك عن يعني أول شيء ببلش عن the pre-Socratic philosophy and then ببلش عن Socrates and the sophists, Plato, Aristotle, and then Confucianism, the Buddha. So it just goes through all this data. So it's very interesting, I guess, for me because it's a one-on-one. I get to listen to it while I'm driving to work. I wish I can stop and take notes sometimes, but no, it's a good start for me because. And then I got this magazine. I don't know if you've ever seen it. منا بلبنان ومنا بالميدل East. It's called The New Philosopher. But they do have
I saw that.
a magazine.
It's
really interesting. I've seen a couple of issues, so I've read a couple of issues. The first issue they had was on balance. It's very interesting.
Okay.
And change, and now this issue is about death, which is a very interesting topic to me.
Very, have you read it? Have you checked it out?
I'm
the
halfway
new issue, the death. Tell me more. I'm curious.
Tell you more.
Like what interests you? Usually people are like, لا, death. I don't want to think about it.
let me get the magazine.
Sure. Yeah.
So, the reason why I was very interested in it because I am really scared of death, obviously, and I'm assuming a lot of people are as well. And when you're not a religious person, when you're not a believer, basically death is the end of it, as far as you know. And that's a scary thought because and then it's covered here يعني بيحكوك عن كذا شغلة, and it's actually in one of the episodes I was just listening to, so it's kind of like interesting timing that came out. But let me see. So they cover fear of non-existence, death and loss. بيحكوك عن what is a good way to die, whether you want to. في واحد, he was really really sick, and he knew that when he gets really sick he won't be able to kill himself, but he also knew that when he gets really sick it's going to be a bad way to die, لأنه راح يبطل يقدر يحكي، يفوت على الحمام، يتحرك, and it's just horrible to die that way, or for that to be the way you end. But he made a decision every day to spend more time with his family, because, you know, so he traded the good time with his family to a bad death. It just kind of makes you think on, if you had the choice of, like, it tackles different aspects of what death is about. كمان في واحدة that's really
Die
interesting.
with dignity, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Learning when to die. There was a really interesting one. And then some of them saying, like, you should not be scared of death, because, you know, we don't know what happens next, but we also know that we're same way before you were born, you didn't exist, and you're fine with that. You know, we're not gonna, nobody sits there بيقول يا الله ليش ما كنت خلقان قبل, I missed out. You know, I didn't exist, and it's fine. And احنا what scares us is the fact that right now you're scared that when you die you're gonna miss out on things, but when you're dead, you're not gonna feel anything, and you shouldn't. You know, now I say that هيك إنه أنا مرتاحة, بس هلا حطني على طيارة, إذا هزت الطيارة I'm gonna think that we're gonna fall and die, and I'm gonna shit myself because I'm scared of dying. It's
is it the fear of dying or fear of the actual, يعني, is it the fear of death as an experience, ولا the fear of not existing anymore?
I think it's both.
And the other one is, okay, fine, we don't know what will happen, and no, you can be scared a bit وماشي حالك. بس انه
I would say more, it's also probably I think for me it's the experience. I'm afraid of the experience of knowing that I'm going to die and have to live with that. يعني أنا عن جد, I have so much respect to cancer patients and people who know that they're going to die soon, and they have to face that reality really quickly. Known a few, seen their journey. It's hard, you know, they have to face that reality. It's just so hard. And then for the people around them to see it, especially if they're at a young age. So for me, I'm so scared of it because of that, maybe because I've seen other people go through it. But also the fear of non-existence, like FOMO.
Yeah, fear of missing out, learning. So this is why, for at least, well, many philosophers, but mainly Socrates and Plato, for them philosophy was learning how to die. مش بس learning how, يعني living a good life entails that, or means that you are learning how to die, so you would live a good life because now you're prepared to death, or prepared for death.
There's, I think في واحدة هون I did learning when to die. I haven't read that one yet.
Learning when to die is في I teach bioethics. I'm not teaching it now, هلا بالsummer I'm scheduled to teach bioethics. فهي في كل هالtalk إنه about if you have a terminal disease and you know that you're going to die maybe in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. What would you? So the question is whether you would want to go through assisted death or not.
Exactly.
في a Swiss company called Dignitas, whereby they take care of all this. وفرجيهم للstudents a documentary about it, whereby a guy decides, and I want to go to Switzerland to die peacefully because in England it's illegal. It was. I don't know if it changed now. He goes there. بيسألوا أسئلة. They make sure that the guy is mentally capable of making this decision for himself, and the condition is that you have to drink the poison yourself also. So it's they only assist you in dying, and they show you at the end كيف he drinks the poison and that's it, and he dies.
So هذا اللي كنت عم بقول لك عنه. So this guy wrote about a friend who was a philosopher. He never said his name, but this is the guy that had a terminal illness and didn't want to die in this way, in this bad way. But he couldn't make that decision because he was happy to see his family every day and his kids. But yeah, it's but you have people who aren't afraid of death, I guess.
Yeah.
Who are, you know, they take risks, they do this squirrel suit jumping. أنا مثلا لا دايما بخاف إنه ما بدي أطلع حدا عم بيسوق بسرعة بالسيارة كذا. And for me it's also something that I worry that if something happens to me, it's gonna hurt. You know, my parents are going to feel really horrible, and I don't want them to feel that way.
It's more often than not, it's about the close ones as well.
Others.
Yeah. لأنه this guy Terry Pratchett. So Pratchett the guy اللي عمل الدوكيومنتري لأنه he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and he was a writer. So قال إنه should I choose that, should I opt out or not. So عمل الدوكيومنتري اللي يشوف كيف الناس بتحس, and he eventually decided not to go through with it. Yeah.
Wow.
بس it's so is this something that you've يعني this philosophical interest of yours, is it something that has recently, that you discovered recently, or was it something that you've constantly been thinking about, not only death and in general, this kind of reflection about things?
Yeah, I remember I started يعني بلشت أفكر بالأخبار when I was a teenager. Like when I was a teenager 14 15 بلشت أفكر about life, why are we here, re-examine. مثلا كنت كتير مثلا, you know how society tells you things are the way they are because of whatever, and I used to be a rebel. I used to be لا ليش وكيف ما فهمت, you know, like the programming, the math brain of that we have is, you know, ليش كيف وصلت لهيدا ال conclusion, what was your, and how did you start, what was your logic, ما بفهم ليه. إنه simple things like, you know, growing up إنه البنات هن بينطفوا الشباب بيقعدوا, you know, like these older, إنه ليه ما فهمت ليه. إنه is there something in my genetic that says I'm better at cleaning, because I'm definitely not better. I hate cleaning. You know, if I can always hire someone to do it, I'll do it. You know, things of that sort, or like girls can do math, or قصص like البنت بتلعب باللعبة وأنا كنت أحب ألعب بالسيارات مثلا. إنه مش they're not like deep philosophical, بس من أنا وصغيرة كنت أفكر إنه ليه, why are we dictated on who can we be while I'm really someone else. Like أنا ما بحب ألبس فساتين, ما بحب ألبس هالأخبار, and I was just really different. And then you start thinking, because you're a little bit different from everyone else, and it makes you think, and then it moves to something a bit deeper. بعدين صرنا بالطائفية, إنه أنا I come from a mixed family. بيي مسلم سنة, أمي أرمن Orthodox, عرفت, and I grew up in a Christian community موارنة, so it's like extremes, and then you had the room ضد الموارنة, and then you're like what ما بفهم شو, and it again makes you think, so wait, you don't like someone because of their religion? I don't understand that, because before you knew their religion you were fine with that person. So it just again starts me, you know, بلشت أفكر فيهم. And then بالترمينال we had a philosophy class. And I loved it. It was one of my favorite classes. بلشت تحكي about like capital punishment وmoral و individual, you know, how to look at things ethically, morally. And then I was very interested in it, but no, I didn't continue in it because it brings me back to sometimes you do things just because people expect you not to do them. لأنه you know,
to prove a point kind of thing.
إنه مثلا إذا أنا رحت عملت فيلسوفي, لأنه عادة نحن الفلسفي, صف الفلسفي كان أغلبيته بنات. So عرفت إنه it was like this stigma, like this stereotype that إنه girls go philosophy, boys go math.
Yeah.
And I like math, but then again math and philosophy go together, as we know by now.
نحن عندنا المفهوم الغلط إنه ما إذا منه شاطر بالماث يعني روح عميل
100% إذا منه شاطر بيروح فيلو.
لا لاحظي انت هالكونتراديكشن
100%
انه شاطر بالماث روح عميل ايكونومكس اقتصاد واجتماع. what the fuck does that mean؟ ما هن من ورا هدول الناس اللي راحوا عملوا اقتصاد واجتماع or not I don't even care اذا عملوا هيك، بس انه
او حتى انه حرام مثلا you look at the technical schools اللي عندنا انه again انه الفاشلين بيروحوا على that's not true. انه بالعكس technical school is actually much harder because انا علمت technical school سنتين انه they were learning proper work stuff انه they were ready to be in the workforce. انه حرام the way we think about things, we are so uneducated, so ignorant, so judgmental. حرام يعني. So again it just forces people to do things that maybe they're not. And I ended up being fine. I'm in a really good place. But إنه كمان يمكن who knows if I actually ended up studying philosophy, what would have happened? You know, just because I didn't do philosophy or I didn't do biology, just because I wanted to say, you know what, no, girls can't do math. And I went and I did that and I proved it. Okay, now what?
and, yeah.
But now what? Like I wonder, like, did I follow my passion? Did I follow what I'm really interested in? I can't know. I don't know, and I can't say yes or no.
As you said, no, it's never too late.
Yeah. Hopefully, I need to.
And it need not be an academic degree, كمان يعني. No, what you're doing هلا, you probably know a lot about philosophy by reading magazines and listening to podcasts, which is I think more interesting than إنه يمكن the class will be boring واللي بيصير more often than not بالفلسفي وهيك أشياء. إنه academically إذا you pursue it academically بتقرا في عيشتك آخر شيء.
So that's what scares me.
Coming from that background and reading and educating yourself in an autodidact manner, I think it's more interesting. لأنه you cherry pick based on whatever you're interested in.
On what do you find interesting?
Yeah. But in a way, this is also interesting. لأنه it was something I wanted to ask you at the beginning. When it comes to maybe your life as a journey and as a because you were saying self-discovery and those kinds of things, so the first question is, do you plan your travels? Do you do you know is it scheduled? I will do this on this day, this on that day, etc. ولا do you flaneur على قولة نسيم طالب؟
I think أول ما بلشت سافر ما كتير لأنه again you didn't have, yes we had internet but it wasn't as abundant as now. It wasn't like a daily thing you do. So بتذكر حتى أنا my first time on a plane was when I was 25 and it was to Cyprus because it was the first time I can afford a trip and it was like $300. That was like my first wow, I had been working for a year or something, 2 years. And then anyway رحنا مع agency هن حاجزين لنا الأوتيل هن حاجزين لنا التيكت مش فاهماني كواعي من بوعي ما بعرف شو يعني boarding pass. رحت أنا و 2 of my friends and we did like Cyprus. There isn't really much of an itinerary, you wing it. The next time I traveled to the US to see my dad and he lives there. My mom was there as well. And the third time I had a work trip to Paris. The proper first trip that I organized, not even organized, I went on a sailing trip. So again, yes, the first trip I organized كنت أنا ورفيقتي رحنا Madrid, Rome and Barcelona. And I think to a certain extent, I did plan what to do every day. And I was one of those اللي بتوعى بكير وبتركض وكذا. It's normal, I guess, when you first start traveling. I'm more
You don't want to miss out on stuff.
you do many things. وmuseums يا الله أنا وقت رحت على برلين رحت على 5 museums ما طقت ولا واحد. I realize I'm not really a museum person unless it's a nice modern art, if it's science, if it's specific themes that I would be like Van Gogh هيك قصص I would be interested in. بس وقت رحت شفت حجرة من البيزنطينية ما بعرف شو, I don't care about that, you know what I mean? But it's fine because the more you travel, the more you learn what you like and what you don't. Now I am way more chill, but I still have, let's say, top 3 things I want to do. يعني أنا رايحة هالمحل, I want to leave doing at least those 3 things. It gives you a good sense. you still do one thing a day, so you're not just like roaming around aimlessly. And then, so it's like it's a nice like, oh, okay, you know what, I went, I learned something, okay, let's go eat and let's go have fun, let's go check out this place. بس هلا it's much more chill. I sometimes book مثلا walking tours. I love walking tours. كتير حلوين, especially alternative free walking tours, because the person gives their best to get that tip. So they're much more enthusiastic and interesting, and obviously, you know, tip them well, because I've seen some people give really small tips, and that's not fair. لأنه يكون شخص صار له 3 ساعات عم بيحكي بتجي بتعطيه 2 euros. That's not fair anyway. You can tell that it's a pet peeve of mine. And yeah, هيك قصص إنه هلا it's more about getting to know the city, the culture, trying food. If there's a really interesting museum, yes, maybe you do road trips, you see other cities close by. So yeah, that's how I go about it. Much more chill.
Is there some sort of parallelism between that and your actual life, and as more chill with regards to the things that you achieve? Because you were saying, you know, you were like a laid back kind of attitude. You know, not overachieving, and okay, fine, you know better. Maybe is it something because you discover, or I will discover things like on the go, and no, this is interesting. ما بعرف.
Yeah, I try to balance, and again, قلت لك أنا I'm not the best of it. أنا عم بقرط حكي, but sometimes I tend to مثلا أقضيها the whole weekend watching TV, and that's bad. That is not good.
Why?
So
it's the best thing to do ever.
No, not when you بيخلص الويكند and you're like عن جد شو عملت. يعني رحت على كل الجمعة I was working, and then جيت بالweekend I only watched TV. Like I didn't communicate to another soul. I didn't do something useful with my time. No, so هلا بجرب أعمل. I'm still struggling with weekends. I have to say, I'm not. Sometimes I have good weekends. Sometimes I'm like the weekend just went by, and then you go back to the existential thing, like the weekend just gone by and I don't think I did something satisfactory. What is the point of my life? Seriously, that was me yesterday. يعني أنا اليوم كنت رح أبعت لك أقول لك maybe we shouldn't actually talk لأنه I'm not in a good mood. But no, thank you for the chat. It's actually been really fun and interesting.
It is. Thank you.
Pre-book myself to things, by the way. And so I have this thing where I have like a past self, present and future self. So
okay.
مثلا right now I'll become a past self by tomorrow. So I want to make my future self happy. It's as simple as this. No, I want to take care of my future self. I don't want to be that asshole who just does things that makes myself happy right now, and then future self, and then now as well.
Hey, okay.
Hey. But again, I struggle with that sometimes. That could be hormonal, PMS, whatever. That's very normal. If somebody's panicking out there, guys, this is biology. It's very natural. Get over it. But no. So my past self, sometimes I pre-book things in weekends. لأنه I know if I don't, I'll end up not doing anything and regretting it.
Oh, so you were camping the other day, you said.
I didn't actually end up camping. I tried. رحنا بس كان في هوا وبتعرف رمل وكذا بالصحراء. It's not ideal.
Oh, okay.
We ended up going for a barbecue. The other thing actually, and this is something that I struggle with living in Dubai. As much as I love Dubai, I miss nature. Because for me, nature gives me back like a breather. And then that's why traveling, again, I am a lucky person. I get to travel for work a lot. And that's why probably I'm much more chill when I am at home and when I travel on my own. لأنه مش رايحة مسافرة مرة بالسنة for 1 week and you really want to make the best of it. And I get that. I don't judge people who do if that's the only week they get to leave their home country. أنا تقريبا كل شهر I have a trip or 2 trips. When I was in Paris, رحنا تعشينا بمحل. There was a live performance. When I was in London, I went there for a week for work. حجزت لحالي رحت حضرت a play. You know, so you treat yourself to things. So by the time I come back to Dubai, لأنه مسافرة كتير وتعبانة, I watch TV the whole weekend and then I chill.
Oh.
But then again, 1 weekend, not every single weekend. So that's why you have to keep reminding yourself on balancing things and what is the best for you. It's not my lifestyle is not the best for everyone. People have to find what works best for them to keep them sane, I guess.
Whatever works absolutely everyone بس هيدي yeah and so far as you're enjoying your time and I don't know if you would like to discuss any or mention or talk about anything else.
I think we've covered a lot, like we covered life, death, balance.
That's why you asked me. I can. It's لأنه all this is very interesting, particularly from different points of views, and it gives you food for thought, particularly for someone like me as well. And
that was very interesting. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. That's very interesting, and I have homework now for myself. Very interesting books. Do you have any other book suggestions?
Let me see. I recommend The Power of Habit if you haven't read it yet. بتحبوا فيها الكتاب. It's not هيدا الكتاب تبع do the same thing for 21 days and then it becomes a habit. No, it's very scientific. It goes into research. It goes into the source of, like, you want to fix one thing. What was it? I think it was something like mortality rate for infants in America. It was very high. And then it all went back after digging into just awareness and education in schools about something. I forgot the details of it. It's really interesting because it's super scientific, or it goes back, like بيحكيك عن, I think, Ian Thorpe, on how he has, like, the reason why he's successful is because he has a routine that he does every day. So by the time he gets to his competition, he simply repeats the routine he always does. So he knows by then that I have done all of this and I did it well. So by the time he gets to the competition, he's already in a good place where he's confident and he knows that he's already succeeded in the previous part of the day. So it's like so that's a really good book. So I recommend that. There's more. I can't think of much now, but Millionaire Expat. If you're an expat and you're thinking of how to start investing, this is a really good book.
Yes, Millionaire Expat. Holy, that's this is part of the things I've يعني for this year I said I was not, with the exception of the classes I'm teaching, I had a little New Year's resolution. No, I am not going to attend any philosophy course, any philosophy conference, and I'm not going to read any boring philosophy shit. With the exception of the class course things are not basically
you want to
boring.
Expand to other things.
صراحة I've been buying and reading a lot of books that from all sorts of anything that I find interesting. هيك by coincidence I go through it. إذا عجبني الbook I'm buying, so yeah. That's لنشوف where this is heading. But I know this is very interesting. So thank you very much. Today you had work, I think, right?
Yes.
Your weekend is Saturday.
We work on Sunday.
Friday, Saturday, yeah. Unless you work in investment banking, يكون الويكند تبعك Saturday, Sunday. And Skype ظبط هالمرة. أنا لما تذكرت إنه you were there, I was like شو حيصير؟ بس لأنه we did it on another, in a different chat, someone based in Dubai, Mazen Barbir. I think you know the guy. So كان عم يقطش كل 40 دقيقة وما بعرف شو. هلا هيك it's more easier. It's easier, it flows, yeah. Any other thing you'd like to add? هيك one last thing, maybe, I don't know, whatever.
I would say one thing is that what ends up happening is sometimes we plan our life in a certain way. I can certainly say it does not turn out that way, and just kind of be open to that things will change, and just make the best of it. And almost any decision you make will be a good decision for you because you made it and you committed to it, so own it.
Yeah. That's a good way to end the discussion. Things will definitely change. Just own it and enjoy.
Yeah. And if you got to this point in the video, I'll give you a Travel with Funk drawstring bag as a gift. Let's see.
Well, and for them to be able to claim it, let them tweet at you. Your handle is
at Funky Aussie.
At Funky Aussie. But let me Funky.
And my blog is Travel with Funk. If you need any travel tips, also come to me. If you need career tips, I might be able to help. We can discuss. I can listen. What else? That's it.
If your goal is to work at Facebook, now you know.
Or Google.
Or Google.
Yeah, general tech companies.
Now you know whom to poke at, basically.
الله يستر.
لا بس ما هيدي حاتركها هيك خلينا نشوف إذا مين who will at you. بس
If you get to this point, I'll give you $1 million. عم بمزح.
لا هيدي
بالدولار مش باللبناني.
بالدولار كمان.
بالدولار بعطيكم بالدولار.
So thanks again, and if you are ever around, let me know. We can have a chat.
Definitely. Thank you, Decav.
Thank you. Thank you. Funky Aussie. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.